Hey girls, welcome back to another episode of the Go Girl podcast. And first of all, happy Valentine's Day. Nope, you better not be sad because you don't have a Valentine today. You better not be sad because you're in a relationship and your partner's not doing anything for you today. You better be joyful, you better be happy, and you better be full of love, okay? So, anyway, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're having a great day full of love. If it's not from someone else, I hope you're expressing that love to yourself. You know how we are over here on the Go Girl podcast, okay? We are all about that self love. So, if nothing else, you can give yourself those beautiful affirmations full of loving yourself, telling yourself how fly you are, how beautiful you are, how amazing you are, how strong you are, how popping you are. Let's go, okay? You can also just do some great things for yourself this day. You can spread love to other people today. Let them know how much you love them, how much you care about them, and do something nice for someone else. Do something nice for a stranger. It's limitless. And above all else, girl, it's just a day. Okay, it's literally just a day. I even had to tell my fiance because this will be our third Valentine's Day together. It's on a Wednesday. I'm like, man, I love you. You love me. We know what it is. We're about to get married this year. We're good. Every day, I never believed that. I thought it was a way for people to be cheap. But literally, every day does feel like Valentine's Day with him. So I'm like, we don't have to do anything, but I do still want my flowers and my chocolates. Okay. Like, don't skimp out on that. But going out and all that, like, we do that all the time anyway. So, literally, it is just a day for America to throw the pink and the red in your face. And it doesn't help that I'm wearing my pink blazer. Hello. Well, it does help because it's Go Girl. Okay. But it's like, everyone's telling you what to do and how to show your love on this day, when literally it could be another day going to work, doing what you normally do, showing the love you already normally show to everyone and to yourself. Just don't overthink it. Maybe don't get on social media if you are into Valentine's Day. You might see couples posting things, you might see people just making silly jokes about the day. Like, whatever it is, take some time for you. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, although I'm talking about it right now. And I'm also going to just be talking today about self love because this is the Go Girl Guidebook episode. If you don't have the Go Girl Guidebook, a woman's interactive guide to self love, please get your copy. It's available on Amazon. You can also get it on gogirlmovement.org. And because I have 10 chapters with a guide to pretty much help you throughout your year, then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take one chapter a month and we're going to just dive deeply into it. I'm going to pull out a few bullet points so that I could share kind of what's in the book so that you could get your own copy and read the other bullet points and just to guide you a little bit throughout this year, okay? Here is the book, first of all. So, chapter 2 of the book is Guide to Self Care. Okay, each chapter starts with guide. So, this is a guide to self care. The affirmation for this chapter is I am balanced. I am balanced. Now, living my life a little bit more since writing this book, I wrote this book about, oh my gosh, it was about like 5 years ago. I wrote it in 2019. It released September 19th, 2019, right? And I was all about balance and everything. And now, as I've gotten older and my life has gotten full with more people, more things, more responsibilities, balance to me is something that you just got to take it day by day. Okay. I think I thought I would have wanted to be balanced. Like, okay, I'm going to spend this much time with my friends every month, this time, much time with my family, this much time with my partner. It's just not that easy and as simple sometimes. But overall, you can still say, use as an affirmation, I am balanced. I am balanced today. How about that? Let's add today. Because each day just changes, right? So you want to take your maybe your to-do list and figure out your priorities for that day and how you can balance it out to include time for yourself, time for your families, time for yourself to connect spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Maybe it's reading a book for a minute, meditating for a minute, calling a friend or a family member on your drive home or drive to work. Finding that balance within your day might work best rather than saying, I am balanced. for your whole life because there's going to be some days where you feel a little imbalanced. There's going to be some days where you commit more to your family life rather than yourself that day, or commit more to yourself and not your family, right? Like it's not perfectly balanced. That's what I've learned over the years. So we're learning and growing over here. You're learning and growing with me. But overall, the affirmation, I am balanced today. We're going to get into the chapter. There are 11 bullet points, but we're going to go over 3 today, okay? So the first one is bullet point number 2 in this chapter of Guide to Self-Care. Number 2 says, do something for yourself. I'm always preaching that, right? Like, especially today, Valentine's Day. Don't wait for anyone else to do something for you. I remember, oh my gosh, during a pandemic, I had a great Valentine's Day. I did not have a Valentine. I did not have a Valentine that year, but I made sure to get my favorite bottle of wine. I got my favorite chocolate cookies and candy. I made sure I watched one of my favorite movies on TV. I sat in that tub. I relaxed in bed with my wine, my cookies. I bought myself flowers and balloons, and I had a wonderful time by myself. So, because it's Valentine's Day doesn't mean you have to spend it with someone else, doesn't mean you have to wait for someone else to show you that love, that you could just simply show yourself, girl. If that's what you want and that's what you love and that's what you desire, put it out there in the universe and do it for yourself. Don't go waiting for nobody else, all right? So do something for yourself. In the book, I said once a week or once a month, do something for yourself. Maybe it's a day at the spa. Maybe it's spending time with friends. Maybe it's a manicure, a pedicure. Treat yourself to some ice cream or some chocolate, or purchase those cute heels that you were just eyeing the other day. Then I asked a question because the guidebook is full of journal prompts. I asked, what is something that you would love to do for yourself weekly? What about monthly? Write a plan on how you can make it happen. And I'll speak on one of my most recent examples. I wanted to start going to the spa once a month. And I've told myself this for years. Finally, January 1st of this year, I went to the spa, had an amazing day bringing in the new year with myself again at the spa. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to get a massage monthly. So now the money is coming out of my account every month. It came out this month. So it's like, oh, I have an opportunity to go get me a massage, a facial, whatever I want. But that's something that I'm doing for myself. I don't, sometimes I invite other people to get a massage with me, but I like to do some of those things on my own. It's peaceful. You get to reflect. You get to just unwind. You get to do things on your own time. So the spa day is something that I've committed to monthly. Do something for yourself, such as, yeah, if there's a book that you've been wanting to read, or you keep going to the mall and seeing some heels, or I don't know, I'm not a big online shopper, but maybe you're scrolling online and there's some shoes that keep popping up out at you as an ad. They hear you talking about these shoes. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to splurge this month and get them for myself. Do something for yourself this month that's going to make you happy. All right. That'll satisfy that need and that urge. Number 2, say no. That's the next bullet point I'm going over in this chapter, a guide to self-care. Say no. It says you might have FOMO, which means fear of missing out, but you don't have to go to every event you're invited to. Save your money, your time, your gas, and your energy. Just say no. You don't have to do everything for everyone. Let me repeat that. You don't have to do everything for everyone. Say no because you already do enough and it's time for you to do more for yourself. Ooh, that was good. You already do enough. You do enough for everyone else. So now it's time for you to be a little selfish, and do more for yourself. Then I have questions. Do you have difficulty saying no to the people you love? If so, why? And what happens when you tell someone no? I know in my journey, when I first started to say no, I felt so guilty. I felt so bad telling other people no, or I'm not interested, or thank you for the invite, but I'll pass. It was so difficult. I felt like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm such a mean person, that I'm a bad person, that I'm mean. Like all these thoughts, thinking what they're going to think about me. And they respected me more because I was able to just assert myself and say, no, like, no, that doesn't work out for me. Period. That's it. People will respect your no when you respect your no. Uphold that boundary. So you can say no and figure out other nice ways maybe to say no until you're just comfortable saying no. I'm still not there. I'm still not comfortable just saying no. I'll say no and again say something like thank you, but no thank you, or whatever it is. Like I'm still polite with it. There's a way to be polite. You don't have to be mean about it, but you do have to be firm when you're saying your no so other people can know that you're serious. And then don't say no and renege on it. Don't say no and then the person come back to you with the same question in a different way. And you're like, okay, well, all right. And you're being persistent, so I'll give in. No. If your no is a no, it's a no. That's it. So you might feel guilty at first. You might apologize. I'm so sorry, but no, I'm so like, why are you saying sorry? The no is for you, not for them. Let them figure out how they want to receive that no, how they're going to take it, their feelings about it. It is what it is. I'd respect that more than people maybe flaking because you'll say yes. Okay, yes, I'd love to go to the event with you. And the day comes a little closer. It's the day of, and then that person's like, yeah, no, I'm going to back out. I don't feel like it. I'd respect the, hey, no, that's not going to work for me, rather than the person committing, saying okay, saying yes, and then flaking. That's just rude. And then that's a waste of your time, a waste of your energy and excitement. You're probably excited to like get together with the person. Then all of a sudden on that day, it's a no. And I used to be big about that. I used to flake often because I wasn't honest. I was dishonest about my yes. I would say yes, knowing closer to the day I might not feel like doing whatever said thing. And if that's you, maybe starting with, and I think this is what I did start with when I first started saying no. It's like, let me think about that for a minute and I'll get back to you. Give yourself time, give yourself a couple of days to think about it, and then get back to the person and say, you know what? Yeah, I'd love to join you. Or, you know what? I can fit that into my schedule. Or, I thought about it and yeah, I'm just going to pass now. Right? So find out some ways to say no that are still beneficial, still respectful. The second question under say no is if you've started saying no to others, how does it make you feel? Bad, relieved, empowered, describe below. And like I said, at first I used to feel guilty. Now I don't think I have a feeling towards it. Yeah, I just kind of say no, no, thank you. Like I'm comfortable with it that I don't have a feeling towards it. And I think when you're transitioning, then you will have more thoughts and feelings about that new thing that you're doing. If your new thing is saying no, you might feel guilty. You might feel bad, or you might feel relieved, like, oh, that felt so good to not lie to that person and say yes and then say no later. Or you might feel empowered, like, no, with your head up high, your shoulders back, because you are firm and you are direct, you're assertive, and you believe exactly what you say. And it's a no. It's a no for me, dog, right? So, guide to self care, make sure you're saying no sometimes. It's okay. And the third point that I want to point out for today, we're going through the Go Girl Guidebook, a woman's interactive guide to self love. I am in chapter 2, Guide to Self Care. And the third point that I'm going to mention is going back to saying no. This is set boundaries. They go hand in hand with saying no. So, set boundaries. And I wrote in the book, better yet, set firm boundaries. It's time to stop letting people slide. People take advantage of people with no boundaries. People take advantage of people with no boundaries. So set those firm boundaries, okay? Whenever you feel uncomfortable with what someone is saying or doing, that means they are overstepping your boundaries. If you're getting that feeling like, this doesn't feel right, there's something in your spirit that's saying something is off, right? There might be some type of disrespect. There might be a different tone, some way that they're speaking to you. Like, hey, I don't like the way you're speaking to me right now. Hey, I'm going to exit this conversation and we can talk again when you're a little more calm. I specifically am all about boundaries because as a woman who was in a toxic relationship, And that was like 5 years ago, right? I was in a toxic relationship. I've done plenty of episodes about it. And now I am in a healthy relationship. That healthy relationship came with me being a healthy person for myself first and learning how to set boundaries. And I didn't have boundaries in that toxic relationship. So that person got away with so much, was able to take advantage of my kindness. Whenever I did try to say no, would make me feel so bad about saying no that I would just say yes. But I felt more uncomfortable. And I felt like I was losing myself more because I was doing more for them or saying more yeses to them than yeses to myself, right? I was like becoming silent and losing myself in that relationship. And I didn't even know it. Again, I never knew about boundaries until leaving that relationship. I never heard of it, never understood it. And I started studying it and I love it now. I love boundaries now. Okay. So I want you to get to that point too. This chapter again is all about self care. And part of self care is setting those boundaries. If I could tell something to my 20-something-year-old self, is learn boundaries, girl. Read books about boundaries, practice boundaries. My children will have no problem talking about boundaries. So, under that bullet point for a journal prompt, I asked, what are your firm boundaries? One of mine is I don't allow disrespect. I'm very particular about how people speak to me. I'm very particular. Like, I just don't tolerate disrespect. I don't. I've tolerated it in the past. I won't even say tolerated it. I just didn't know how to say anything about it without feeling unsafe or feeling like this situation could become very dangerous and harmful if I said something and spoke up in the past. But now I'm at the point where I'm just like, no, I demand respect. And that is a firm boundary of mine. Like, no yelling at me, no cussing at me, none of that. All right. Set your firm boundaries. And if someone steps out of line, oh, you got every right to check them. Period. I don't know how to say that in a more nice, calm, go girl way. You got every right to check them. It's not even checking them or putting them in their place, but it's like, hey, no, 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 no. I don't tolerate that type of tone or I don't tolerate that type of language. So I'd respect it if you'd talk to me like an adult or you share your feelings with me with a little more respect, a little more tact, or hey, things are escalating right now. How about we take a break and we resume this conversation later? Okay? Because one thing we not gonna do is you talk to me crazy, then I talk to you crazy, and we're just talking crazy to each other. There's no productivity in that. There's no solution in that. There's no resolve in us wanting to come back in a loving way from that. Things have been said, like maybe now we regret what we said, all because we were mad because we did not take that time to regulate our emotions, set a firm boundary, take space from each other, and then come back and have a civil conversation. So find out what are your firm boundaries. Another bullet point under set boundaries is write a couple of sentences starting with, it makes me uncomfortable when. It makes me uncomfortable when. And you can write that down in your journal. One of my things that I don't know, it just popped in my head. It makes me uncomfortable when people touch me. I don't, oh gosh, it took me a long time to be a hugger. Now I'll greet people with a hug. But if I don't know you, like, why are you touching me? It's funny. I saw a picture of Beyonce and Meryl Streep the other day. I guess they were at the Grammys, and there's a photo going around where Meryl Streep is talking to Beyonce all in her face. And Meryl Streep has her hand on Beyonce's arm while she's talking, and Beyonce looks so stern. And it's like, oh, it's a photo which happens in a second. So we don't know like the context. We don't know what was happening before or after. We don't know what Beyonce and Meryl Streep were talking about. We don't know the energy of that conversation or nothing. Just from that one photo, I'm like, why is she touching her? Why is she touching her? Like, don't touch me. Don't like, why are you so close to me? Stop. I like my space. Okay. So it makes me uncomfortable when I'll say it makes me uncomfortable when people I don't know touch me. Why are you touching me? We don't have to touch. Again, I'm okay with the hug now, a handshake, whatever. But I don't know. But also, some people are physical touch people, so I try not to take it too personally. But yeah, or it makes me uncomfortable when, to go back to my first point, it makes me uncomfortable when people yell at me, curse at me. Because why can't you calm yourself down? Because why can't you use your words like a respectful adult? Why are you yelling and cursing? Ain't no point for that, right? So that makes me uncomfortable. So figure out what makes you uncomfortable. Is it a touch? Is it a yelling? Maybe even when you first start dating, some people like this, some people don't, but maybe it makes you uncomfortable when people are over complimentary when you first meet them. Oh my God, you're so gorgeous, you're so this, you're so that, which now we know in studying relationships, sometimes that could be love bombing. They're getting in your head saying all these nice things, or it could be someone who's just super affectionate with their language, but it might make you feel uncomfortable. Like, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Honestly, in that point, I don't know how to tell someone like, hey, stop complimenting me so much, but but it might make you feel uncomfortable. It might make you feel uncomfortable if someone's buying you so many gifts. Some people love that. Some people don't. It's like, why are you buying me so many gifts? What's the ulterior motive here? Are you buying me something to get something? Like, what is it? Figure it out for yourself. And I don't want to make those points. That's not for every person, for every woman. I'm just sharing things that people have told me have made them uncomfortable at times. And like, check in with yourself, check in with your gut. Does it really make you feel uncomfortable? And if so, then why? Why does it make you feel uncomfortable? Dig to the root of that. Okay. And lastly, in this point about set boundaries, is how do you plan to implement that boundary? How do you plan to implement that boundary? What are you going to say? I gave some examples. So write a scenario. If someone yells at me, this is what I'm going to say. If they do it again, this is what I'm going to say, or this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to leave, right? So figure out that boundary. What is the boundary? What's making you uncomfortable? Why is it making you uncomfortable? And how do you implement that boundary? How do you uphold it so that this person knows you're serious? There's been a situation before in the past where, I'm done dating someone, right? And I'm like, hey, I've moved on. I don't want to talk anymore. Please stop calling. They kept calling. And I kept answering sometimes, not as much, not all the time. And they're like, well, you say don't call, but you still answer. And I'm like, damn, they really got a point. And that's me, like, not upholding that boundary, right? So then it's like, you know what? Okay, you got a point. And then after that, it's like, all right, well, let me really stop answering. Then it gets to the point where they're still calling because they're like, well, sometimes she'll answer, sometimes she doesn't. This is the thing. Setting boundaries is for you. Because when you set it and that other person disrespects it, like that person just kept calling anyway when I told them to stop, like, you can't control someone else. I can't control that person still calling me, right? But I can control other things. Like the device has an option where you can block a person. So what did I have to eventually do? Yes, I had to block the person because it's like, okay, they're gonna keep calling when I've told them, hey, I've moved on, like, stop calling. I'm not trying to, be friends with you or anything. Like, I don't keep in touch with people when I'm done, like exes and all that. I just, why? Why? There have never been any children involved. If there's a child, of course, we'd have to keep in touch for the child. But if it's just someone that, to each their own. Some people are friends with their exes, whatever, do you? I'm not. So it's like if I say, hey, I'm done, I'm moving on, and you continue to call, then I'm going to have to just block. Now there's no access, and that's just fine. And that's also helping me uphold the boundary. Or could have kept them unblocked and they just keep calling, and then I just keep not answering. So, like, what's the point of that? Right. So it's like, just block them all together. Boom. Simple as that. So figure out the boundary. Why it's making you uncomfortable. Get to the root of it and how you're going to uphold it. How you're going to have it where you're respecting yourself. Because again, you cannot control someone else. They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to still test you. Some people will still test you. You set boundaries, they'll still test you. Do you know the boundaries I've had to set by planning a wedding? Not that many, thank God, because I learned about boundaries years ago. So people know not to, like, come at me with nothing crazy. But even now, just people would suggest, like, hey, you should invite this person or that person. I'm like, no, I have my guest list. It's done. I haven't talked to that person in years or whatever the reason is. It's like, no, I'm not inviting them. Period. That's it. No more discussion. And the people in my life now respect my no. So they're like, okay, she's serious. Not going to bring that up again. Yeah. So it is what it is. And I love who I am. I love this woman that I've become. I love that I'm setting boundaries. And it is what it is. It's part of my self care. Part of my self care. Because then I don't have to feel guilty. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, it's people pleasing when you do the opposite. It's people pleasing when you do the opposite of setting boundaries. And when you people please, people take advantage, just say whatever, do whatever, because you're not doing anything about it. So it's up to you to respect yourself and to set those firm boundaries. All right. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great, like, I don't know. It's Valentine's Day and it wasn't like a super lovey-dovey episode. Actually, it's your based on your perspective, because this could be very lovey-dovey. I said, do something nice for yourself, right? I said, say no and set boundaries. All of that is part of self-care. All of that is part of self-love, and all of that will help you have more love. Happy Valentine's Day. More love in your life for yourself and to spread to others. All right. So I think it was actually an episode full of love, full of self love, that is. All right, girls, well, share this episode with someone else. Be sure to tell your friends and family, and be sure to write a rating and review. I would love to hear from you. I'm also on social media at Go Girl Movement and at I am Ashley Caprice. You can find me on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, mainly on Instagram and TikTok. All right. And if you'd love to work together, for your self-love or dating journey, be sure to hit me up on gogirlmovement.org. I would love to coach you. Let's do this together. I'm here for you. All right. Again, Go Girl Guidebook, a woman's interactive guide to self-love, available on Amazon. And leave this day feeling, I hope you leave this day feeling balanced. I am balanced. I am balanced today. All right, girls. I'll talk to you next week, and happy Valentine's Day. If no one else told you today, I love you and thank you for listening. Go, girl.